This is one of the largest moving objects ever built by humans. Over 1,100 feet long, 18 decks tall. Nearly 9,000 people on board. It makes the Titanic look less like a ship and more like a floating memory. This single cruise ship cost over $1 billion to build, and that's just the beginning. For the next 25 years, it must be fed, fueled, cleaned, staffed, repaired, inspected, and operated non-stop. And yet, you can board it for about $60 or $70 a day. Cheaper than most retirement homes. And significantly more fun. So how does that make any sense? The answer is that cruise ships are not vacations. They are machines, finely tuned, aggressively optimized profit machines. The cruise industry operates on razor-thin margins, massive scale, and relentless efficiency. Like airlines, they make very little money on the ticket itself. Sometimes they even lose money. The average cruise ticket brings in around $1,200. But food, fuel, wages, port fees, marketing, maintenance, and entertainment often cost more than that. If passengers never spent another dollar on board, most cruise lines would collapse. But they do spend money. A lot of it. On average, each passenger spends over $400 on board. On drinks, casinos, spas, excursions, photos, shopping, and upgrades. And here's the genius part. On a cruise ship, you are a captive audience. When your choices are soda or seawater, you're going to buy the soda. When the path from your cabin to dinner takes you straight through a casino, a bar, and 3 gift shops, those aren't accidents. They're design decisions. Mainstream cruise lines are built for volume. They sell as many tickets as possible at the lowest possible price, sometimes at a loss, knowing they'll make it back once you're on board. Casinos, alcohol, premium dining, shopping, and shore excursions are where the real money is made. That's why you can't bring your own drinks, why lounges sit in unavoidable walkways, and why casinos are placed right in the middle of the ship. Premium and luxury cruise lines flip the model. They charge far more upfront, limit passenger numbers, and focus on quieter ships, longer port stays, and exclusivity. Fewer kids. Fewer crowds. Higher margins. Luxury ships may carry only a few hundred passengers, but each one pays enough to cover the difference. The smartest cruise companies don't choose one model. They own all of them. That's why just 2 massive corporations control most of the cruise industry. Carnival and Royal Caribbean own dozens of brands across every price tier. If one brand suffers an accident or scandal, the damage doesn't spread. And when ships age, they're quietly passed down to cheaper brands with lower expectations. Because a cruise ship is a vacation machine, but it can never take a vacation itself. From November to April, ships flood the Caribbean. But keeping empty ships idle the rest of the year would be devastatingly expensive. So instead, they move. In the spring, Caribbean ships cross the Atlantic to Europe. But even repositioning must make money, so cruise lines sell one-way repositioning cruises, 2-week voyages at deep discounts. The ship earns revenue the entire time. Every mile. Every day. And when one cruise ends, the next begins almost immediately. Turnaround day is one of the most complex logistical operations in the travel industry. In less than 12 hours, thousands of passengers disembark. All luggage is removed. Trash is dumped. Fuel is loaded. Crew members rotate. And enough food to feed a small city is brought on board. Hundreds of thousands of eggs. Tons of produce. Thousands of gallons of drinks. By mid-morning, the ship is empty. By early afternoon, every cabin is cleaned, beds reset, towels folded into animals, maintenance performed, paperwork filed, and meals prepared. By evening, the ship is moving again. Because the moment it reaches international waters, the casino opens, and the money starts flowing. Casinos at sea are especially profitable because regulation is minimal. Alcohol is duty-free. Water is desalinated on board. Interior cabins maximize space efficiency. The most profitable rooms are balconies and suites, So profitable that some ships now offer virtual windows, high-definition screens simulating ocean views. Meanwhile, the least desirable decks are reserved for the crew. There is roughly one crew member for every 2 passengers, but you rarely see them off duty. They work long hours for months at a time, live in small shared cabins, and are required to remain on board when not working. How is that legal? Because cruise ships can register almost anywhere. Most ships fly flags of convenience: Panama, Liberia, the Bahamas, allowing companies to avoid stricter labor laws and save millions in wages. That's why you'll meet crew members from dozens of countries, but rarely from high-wage ones. There is only one major obstacle: U.S. law. A law passed in the 1800s prevents foreign ships from transporting passengers directly between American ports. So cruises must make at least one foreign stop. That's why short cruises to California stop in Mexico. And why, for years, some Hawaii cruises took 4-day detours to a tiny remote island with no infrastructure, simply to remain legal. Eventually, one cruise line built an American-flagged ship just to avoid the workaround. But that also meant American labor laws and higher ticket prices. Ports, meanwhile, compete fiercely for cruise traffic. Cruise lines earn commissions on local tours, passport fees to passengers, and ideally keep guests on company-controlled land. Disney perfected this. They own their own private island, where everything, food, activities, shopping, flows straight back to the company. From the moment you board until the moment you leave heavier than you arrived, the system is designed for convenience, control, and spending. And that's the real appeal of cruising. No cooking, no cleaning, no planning, no decisions. Just show up, swipe your card, and relax. Cruise ships aren't about travel. They're about removing friction. And that's why, despite their enormous costs, complex logistics, and tight margins, they remain one of the most profitable vacation models ever created. Because once you're on board, the ocean isn't the product. You are.